He was surrounded. 3 guys, all bigger, louder, full of fake confidence. One shoved him. "You gonna move or just stand there like a statue?" He didn't flinch, didn't blink, just stared, calm. Because lions don't bark. They wait. Then they strike. He could have fought. Could have snapped, but instead he stepped aside and smiled. They laughed, walked past, thought they won. But 5 minutes later they were on the ground, gasping, not from fists, from failure. Because when it came time to actually run the obstacle course, to lift, to last, to lead, he smoked every single one of them. Quiet, focused, unstoppable. The instructor pointed at him. "That's what we call lion mentality, doesn't roar, just wins." They didn't speak to him after that, didn't joke, didn't laugh. Because deep down they knew he wasn't one of them. He trained alone, ate last, slept less. While others bragged about their weekend plans, he studied maps, weather patterns, escape routes. Not because he had to, because he couldn't lose. See, lion mentality isn't about being loud. It's about being ready when everyone else gets tired. One night during storm drills, a guy collapsed, face in the mud, gasping. The others froze. He didn't. Threw the guy over his shoulder, kept moving, didn't ask for help, didn't slow down, didn't complain. Afterward, the captain asked, "You trying to be a hero?" He looked him straight in the eye. "No, sir. I just don't leave my pack behind." That's when they all saw it. He wasn't just strong, he was built different. The weeks passed, and the routine didn't change. The others kept trying to catch up with him, but he was always one step ahead. It wasn't even about being faster anymore. It was about being relentless. They'd push harder, but he'd already set the bar higher. They'd talk about taking a break, about taking it easy, but he never stopped. Not for a second. One morning, after a particularly brutal night drill, one of the guys, Mark, a big guy who was always the loudest in the group, pulled him aside. "Hey, man," Mark said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You ever think about, I don't know, just slowing down a bit? You're always going. What's it all for?" The question hung in the air. Everyone had asked it in different ways. Why? Was he always pushing so hard? What was driving him? The others had their reasons, their weekend plans, their home life, their families. But for him, it wasn't that simple. "I don't slow down," he said, his voice calm but firm, "because when the storm comes, and it will, I need to be ready." Mark didn't get it, he never would. The others didn't either, but he didn't need them to. He trained alone, even when they tried to include him. He'd work late into the night while the rest of them were asleep, going over the drills in his head, studying everything, analyzing every move. Then, one afternoon it happened. Another drill, another test of endurance. Only this time the twist came out of nowhere. They were told to hold their position for hours, rain or shine, no matter the conditions. Simple, right? But then the orders changed. The captain came through, face grim. "We've had a security breach. This isn't just training anymore, real-world conditions. You need to think on your feet. I'm pulling everyone out, except for you." He pointed straight at him. He didn't ask why, didn't question the sudden change in orders. He just nodded. "I'll stay." The others didn't understand. They were packed up and heading back to base. They could hear the frustration in their voices, the confusion. What's he doing? Why is he staying? The storm had only just begun. But he was already a step ahead, and as the others disappeared into the distance, he took his position, scanning the horizon, waiting for the next challenge. He knew what they didn't. This wasn't just a drill. This was real. And he was ready. The storm raged on, the wind howling as the rain lashed against his face. But he didn't flinch. The others had made their choice, safe, dry, back at base. But he wasn't like them. He wasn't looking for comfort. He was looking for a challenge. Hours passed, the tension mounting with every second. He remained still, eyes scanning the horizon, muscles taut, every sense alert. The only sound was the storm and his own steady breath. Then, the radio crackled, to life. "All units, this is command. We've got a situation. A potential threat moving into your sector. Stand by for orders." His heartbeat quickened. It wasn't part of the drill. This was real. He didn't wait for further instructions. He moved. He didn't need a plan because his mind had already run through 1,000 possible scenarios. As a veteran, he knew the importance of being fluid, of adapting on the fly. It wasn't about being the fastest or the strongest. It was about being the most prepared. As he moved into position, he caught sight of a shadow darting between trees. It was too quick, too calculated to be just a random animal. He tightened his grip on his weapon, moving closer. It was then he realized, this wasn't just a drill. Someone was testing him. Someone was out there, watching. He slowed his steps, staying low, blending into the environment, just like they'd trained him to do. He waited for the next move, and then, a voice broke through the silence. "You think you can outsmart me?" It wasn't a question. It was a challenge. He froze. The voice came from the dark, too calm, too sure of itself. But he knew what this was. It wasn't just some rogue element in the woods. This was an ambush. "Who are you?" He called into the night, keeping his tone steady. "Show yourself." There was no response, only the sound of rustling leaves. He didn't move, didn't flinch. He knew it was a game. The question was who was playing it and why. Then the second twist hit. "Your team's been pulled, they're safe, you're on your own now." The words hit him like a punch. His mind raced. This wasn't just a drill. This wasn't a simple test of endurance. This was a test of trust, a test of loyalty. He wasn't alone, but he had to feel like he was. The storm wasn't the enemy anymore. The real challenge was making it through alone. "Game on," he muttered, his voice low. He wasn't backing down. Not now. Not ever. And as the first shadow moved closer, he took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. The shadow moved swiftly, barely visible in the downpour. But he knew it wasn't a figment of his imagination. He wasn't hallucinating. This was a real threat. Whoever it was, they wanted him to feel vulnerable, isolated, alone. But he didn't panic. He'd been trained for this. He knew how to survive in the darkest, most unforgiving environments. And this was just another test. The voice came again, sharp and taunting. "You're wasting your time. They'll never know what happened to you." He didn't respond. There was no need to. He already knew what needed to be done, but he had to move carefully. The storm made it hard to hear anything. Every step he took was a calculated risk, every breath a potential mistake. He could feel the presence closing in, the shadow shifting in and out of the rain. No more games, no more waiting. It was time to act. Suddenly, a figure lunged forward. But he was ready. His instincts kicked in. Without thinking, he dodged to the side, just narrowly avoiding the figure's reach. He grabbed the nearest object, a broken branch, and swung it hard, striking the attacker's arm. The figure staggered back, cursing under their breath. He didn't wait. He moved fast, closing the gap, locking eyes with the stranger for the first time. And in that moment, everything clicked. This wasn't just some random attacker. It was someone from his past, someone he knew. "You?" he said, his voice steady but full of disbelief. "You're the one doing this?" The figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face, one that hadn't crossed his mind in years. "Surprised?" The man sneered. "Did you really think it was just a drill? That it was all about your training? No. It's always been about you proving something. To yourself." The twist hit him like a gut punch. This wasn't just about survival. This was personal. It wasn't a test. It was a message. But that didn't change anything. "You're wrong," he said, voice low. "I don't need to prove anything to myself. I'm not here to win some game. I'm here to make sure the people I care about don't fall into your hands." The man laughed, the sound cold and harsh in the storm. "You think you can stop me? You're just one man. You've always been alone." I'm never alone. He shot back, his eyes narrowing. I have my pack. The man hesitated, and in that split second the hero moved. With a swift, controlled motion, he disarmed the attacker, flipping him onto the wet ground. For a moment, they just stared at each other. I don't run, he said, his voice calm and deadly. And I never back down. The storm raged on, but he knew. This was just the beginning.